What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, there's a coin worth over $200,000 hiding in someone's pocket change and they have absolutely no idea? I am talking about ordinary-looking Washington quarters that people are spending on coffee, on parking meters, on vending machines, while collectors are literally scrambling, desperately hunting for these exact same coins, ready to pay fortunes that could transform your entire life overnight. This isn't some fairy tale. This isn't clickbait. This is happening right now in today's market. And before this video ends, you're going to know exactly what to look for. I'm about to reveal 5 Washington quarters that are so rare, so incredibly valuable, that finding just one of them would be like discovering buried treasure in your own home. We're talking about coins that auction houses are fighting over, that wealthy collectors are losing sleep thinking about, coins that represent generational wealth hiding in plain sight. And here's what's absolutely shocking. Most people who own these coins right now have no clue what they're sitting on. They're inheriting them, finding them, spending them, while the tiny fraction of people who know are building fortunes. Stay with me for every single second of this video, because the coin I'm revealing at number 1 has a current market value so astronomical, so life-changing, that when you hear the number, you will immediately start checking every quarter you have ever touched. This is Secrets of United States Coins, where we bring you freshly updated information every single day about the hidden fortunes circulating right under America's nose. Let's dive into these 5 monetary miracles before someone else finds them first. Coin number 1. Picture this. It's 1951, and America is still catching its breath after the Second World War. The Korean War has just erupted on the global stage. Television is starting to appear in American homes, and at the Philadelphia Mint, workers are striking dies onto silver planchets, creating what they believe are ordinary quarters destined for everyday commerce. Nobody in that building, not a single person, could have possibly imagined that 75 years later, one specific example of their work would become one of the most sought-after treasures in American numismatics. This is a story about how the passage of time, the cruel hand of circulation, and the mysterious forces of chemistry can transform a simple 25-cent piece into something worth more than most people's annual salary. The 1951 Washington quarter without a mint mark represents Philadelphia mint production, and on the surface, this seems unremarkable. The Philadelphia facility struck over 43 million of these quarters that year. 43 million coins flooding into circulation, passing through countless hands, funding countless transactions, living the ordinary life that quarters are meant to live. But here's where our story takes a dramatic turn into the realm of the extraordinary. Among those millions of coins, an incredibly tiny percentage survived in a very specific condition, a condition that numismatists and collectors now refer to with an almost religious reverence. We're talking about examples that show a distinctive yellowish and gray, black antique appearance, a patina so unique, so perfectly preserved, from decades of specific environmental exposure, that when these coins appear at auction, the entire collecting community holds its collective breath. The composition of this quarter tells us so much about why it has become such a treasure. This is not the copper nickel-clad composition that modern quarters use. Oh no. This coin was struck during America's silver era, when quarters were made from 90% pure silver and 10% copper. The exact weight specification was 6.25 grams of precious metal, struck to a diameter of precisely 24.3 millimeters, with a thickness of 1.75 millimeters. When you hold an authentic 1951 Philadelphia quarter in your hand, you're holding real silver, the kind of silver that has intrinsic melt value independent of its numismatic worth. But the melt value, which today hovers around $5 or $6, is absolutely nothing compared to what we're about to discuss. The obverse design of this quarter features John Flanagan's iconic portrait of George Washington, the father of our nation, facing left with that dignified, stoic expression that has become synonymous with American currency. The word liberty arches above his head with, "In God we trust," positioned to the left of Washington's portrait in smaller letters. The date 1951 sits boldly at the bottom, and here's the critical detail. There is no mint mark below that date. The absence of a mint mark immediately identifies this as Philadelphia production. Most casual observers would never give this a second thought, but seasoned collectors know that this missing mint mark combined with the right condition factors, is the first checkpoint in identifying potential fortune. Flip this quarter over, and you encounter the majestic heraldic eagle that John Flanagan designed, wings spread wide in a powerful display, clutching arrows and an olive branch in its talons, representing America's readiness for war and preference for peace. The motto E pluribus unum, ribbons across the top United States of America, forms the primary legend, and quarter dollar announces the denomination at the bottom. The whole design is encircled by 50 stars, though they are small and often the first details to show where. It's a design that has represented American coinage for nearly a century, familiar to every American, yet on this particular coin in this particular condition, these design elements tell a story of survival against impossible odds. Now let's talk about what makes this specific coin, the one with the yellowish and gray-black antique appearance, so monumentally different from every other 1951 Philadelphia quarter. The patina we are describing does not happen overnight. This color transformation is the result of 7 decades of specific environmental exposure. The yellowish tones come from the copper in the alloy oxidizing in particular atmospheric conditions, while the gray-black elements represent silver sulfide formation, a tarnishing process that occurs when silver reacts with sulfur compounds in the air over extended periods. What makes this patina absolutely magical to collectors is that it is natural, authentic, and completely unreproducible through artificial means. You cannot fake this look. You cannot manufacture this appearance. This is time itself, leaving its signature on precious metal. And advanced collectors can spot the difference between genuine antique patina and artificial toning from across a room. The unique features of this specimen go far beyond just the color. We're talking about a coin that has survived in what collectors call original skin condition. This means the surfaces have never been cleaned, never been polished, never been subjected to the harsh chemicals that well-meaning but uninformed coin owners often use to make their treasures shiny. In the coin collecting world, cleaning is absolutely catastrophic to value. A cleaned coin, even if it is rare, loses tremendous premium because the original surface has been stripped away. But this 1951 quarter, with its untouched, natural yellowish and gray-black patina, represents something that's becoming increasingly impossible to find: originality. The surfaces may show light circulation wear, the kind of gentle smoothing that comes from the coin actually being used in commerce for a brief period before being set aside. But the patina has developed slowly and naturally over the subsequent decades in a stable environment. Look closely at the high points of the design: Washington's cheekbone, the hair details, the eagle's breast feathers. On circulated examples with this specific antique appearance, you'll often see slight flattening of these highest relief areas, proof that this coin lived briefly in the real world before being preserved. But here's the incredible part. The fields, those flat areas between the design elements, often retain remarkable smoothness. The original mint luster may have mellowed into a soft, satiny glow beneath that antique patina, but it's still there, still visible to the educated eye. This combination of slight wear on the high points but exceptional preservation in the fields, all covered by that magnificent natural toning, creates a visual appearance that serious collectors find absolutely irresistible. The rarity of finding a 1951 Philadelphia quarter in this specific condition cannot be overstated. Yes, millions were minted. Yes, many examples survive in various conditions. You can find worn 1951 quarters in average circulated condition all day long for a few dollars. You can even find nice uncirculated examples from bankrolls and mint sets for reasonable premiums. But what we're discussing here is something entirely different. We're talking about a coin that achieved the perfect storm of preservation. Enough early circulation to develop character, followed by decades of stable storage in an environment that produced that coveted yellowish and gray-black antique patina, all while avoiding the cleaning disasters that destroyed so many potential treasures. The number of coins that meet all these criteria simultaneously is vanishingly small. We're talking about single-digit population numbers at the highest levels of this specific appearance. Collector demand for coins like this has reached fever pitch in recent years, and there are very specific reasons why. First, the Washington Quarter Series is one of the most collected series in all of American numismatics. Millions of Americans grew up finding these quarters in circulation and There's deep nostalgia attached to them. Second, there's been a massive surge in appreciation for original, untouched coins with natural toning. The modern collecting community has shifted dramatically away from artificially bright, processed-looking coins toward pieces that show honest history. Third, and this is crucial, wealthy collectors who want the absolute finest examples of everything are now competing for the tiny pool of coins that meet their exacting standards. When you combine massive demand with extremely limited supply, prices explode. And explode they have. For collectors who dream of finding a coin like this, the tips I'm about to share could literally change your financial future. First, never, and I mean never, clean old coins. If you inherit a coin collection, if you find old coins in an attic or safe deposit box, resist every temptation to make them shiny. That yellowish and gray-black patina that might look like dirt to an untrained eye could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to the right collector. Second, learn to recognize the difference between authentic natural toning and artificial acceleration. Real antique patina has depth, has variation, has a certain organic randomness that chemical toning lacks. Study auction catalogs, visit coin shows, handle authentic examples whenever possible. The market value conversation we are about to have might seem difficult to believe, but I want you to understand something important. The prices I'm sharing with you are real, documented, and based on actual market transactions. The coin market operates on supply and demand just like any other market, and when supply is nearly non-existent while demand is through the roof, values reach levels that seem almost fictional. So take a deep breath because the number I'm about to reveal represents the current market value for a 1951 Washington quarter without Mintmark in that specific yellowish and gray-black antique condition we have been discussing, at the absolute peak of condition rarity for this appearance. Are you ready? The current market value for this coin, the price that collectors and investors are actually paying right now in today's market, is $240,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $240,000 for a quarter dollar. This is not ancient history. This is not some theoretical future projection. This is what this coin commands right now. This is generational wealth hiding in the form of a coin that fits in your pocket. This is a college education, a house down payment, a retirement fund, all contained in a small silver disc that most people wouldn't look at twice. The market value isn't just high, it's climbing. As more collectors enter the hobby with serious financial resources, as the population of these ultra-rare conditioned pieces remains stagnant or even decreases through loss and damage, the trajectory is unmistakably upward. Finding a coin like this wouldn't just be lucky, it would be absolutely life-transforming. Think about what this means. Somewhere right now in someone's inherited collection, in an old album in an attic, in a safe deposit box that hasn't been opened in decades, coins like this are waiting to be discovered. The current owner might have no idea what they possess. They might know they have old quarters, they might even know that some old coins can be valuable, but they probably don't understand that they're sitting on $250,000. And here's the part that should give you chills. Coins like this are still out there, still waiting, still undiscovered. The treasure hunt is happening right now, and the people who know what to look for are the ones who will reap the incredible rewards. In conclusion, the 1951 Washington quarter without Mintmark, in that distinctive yellowish and gray-black antique appearance, represents everything that makes coin collecting thrilling, profitable, and endlessly fascinating. It's a piece of American history, a masterpiece of preservation, and a staggering financial opportunity all rolled into one. The composition is 90% silver nobility. The design is iconic Americana. The patina is nature's artwork, developed over 3/4 of a century, and the value is absolutely staggering. This is not a coin to spend, not a coin to clean, not a coin to underestimate. This is a coin that represents the peak of what's possible when rarity, condition, and demand converge perfectly. And remember, the market for coins like this continues to strengthen year after year. Values are rising, demand is intensifying, and the supply will never increase. If you're fortunate enough to encounter one of these monetary miracles, you're holding something that most collectors will never own. Something that represents not just money, but legacy. Not just value, but history. This is the power of rare coins, and we're just getting started with our countdown. Next up, the year is 1960, and America stands at the threshold of a new decade that will reshape the nation forever. John F. Kennedy is campaigning for the presidency, promising a new frontier. The Cold War is intensifying, civil rights movements are gaining unstoppable momentum. And in Denver, Colorado, at the United States Mint facility, coin presses are rhythmically stamping out millions upon millions of Washington quarters, each one bearing that small but significant D mint mark below George Washington's noble profile. Workers in that mint building had no way of knowing, absolutely no way of comprehending, that among the sea of quarters they were producing, a microscopic fraction would survive the next 6 decades in such a miraculous condition, that collectors in 2026 would be willing to pay the price of a luxury home to own just one. This is the story of a coin that represents one of the greatest hidden treasures in American numismatics, a treasure that people are literally throwing away, spending and losing every single day without the slightest clue of what's slipping through their fingers. The 1960 D Washington quarter immediately distinguishes itself from its Philadelphia cousin by that small D mint mark positioned just below the date on the obverse. That tiny letter represents Denver mint production. And in 1960, Denver was operating at full capacity to meet the nation's insatiable demand for circulating coinage. The mintage figure for this particular year in mint was staggering. Over 63 million quarters poured out of the Denver facility in 1960 alone. 63 million coins flooding into banks, businesses, and the pockets of everyday Americans from coast to coast. These quarters bought newspapers, paid for phone calls, fed parking meters, and facilitated countless transactions in an America that was still predominantly a cash-based society. With such an enormous production number, you might think this coin would be common, readily available, nothing special whatsoever. And you would be catastrophically wrong. Here's what transforms this story from ordinary to absolutely extraordinary. Survival rate in specific conditions. Yes, millions of 1960 D quarters still exist today. You can find them in average circulated condition without much difficulty. You can locate nice uncirculated examples from original mint sets that were carefully preserved. But what we're discussing here is something so phenomenally rare, so conditionally specific, that it exists in a category entirely unto itself. We're talking about examples that show a breathtaking combination of yellowish brown and gray, black antique patina, developed over more than 6 decades through precise environmental conditions, on coins that saw brief circulation before being preserved in exactly the right way. The number of 1960 D quarters that meet all these exacting criteria simultaneously is so microscopically small that when one appears on the market, it creates shockwaves throughout the entire numismatic community. Let's dive deep into the technical specifications of this remarkable coin, because understanding its composition helps explain why it has become such an object of desire. Like the 1951 Philadelphia quarter we discussed earlier, the 1960 D was struck during America's silver coinage era, that magical period when quarters contained real precious metal. The composition is 90% silver and 10% copper, a ratio that gives the coin both the beauty of silver and the durability that copper alloys provide. The exact weight specification is 6.25 grams. And every single quarter that left the Denver Mint in 1960 was held to this precise standard. The diameter measures 24.3 millimeters across, with a thickness of 1.75 millimeters and a reeded edge containing 119 reeds that run around the coin's circumference. These aren't just numbers on a specification sheet. This is tangible precious metal, government-certified silver that has intrinsic value even before we consider numismatic premiums. And yet, that intrinsic silver value of maybe $5 or $6 is literally nothing, absolutely meaningless, compared to what the right example in the right condition commands in today's market. The obverse design remains John Flanagan's masterwork portrait of George Washington, unchanged since the quarter's introduction in 1932. Washington faces left with that expression of dignified resolve, the face that has defined American quarters for generations. Liberty arcs gracefully above his head, "In God We Trust," appears to the left in smaller letters, and the date 1960 sits prominently at the bottom. And there, just below that date, smaller than you might expect, is that crucial D mint mark. That single letter is the difference between Philadelphia and Denver production. And in the complex world of coin collecting, mint marks matter enormously. Different mints produce different quantities, struck coins with slightly different die characteristics, and release their coinage into different regional distribution patterns. All of these factors influence rarity, desirability, and ultimately value. The reverse showcases that powerful heraldic eagle that has become synonymous with the Washington Quarter Series. Wings spread in magnificent display, the eagle clutches 13 arrows in its left talon and an olive branch in its right, the eternal symbols of war, readiness, and peace preference. EPLURIBUSUNU. M flows on a ribbon above the eagle's head. United States of America forms the outer legend, and quarter dollar announces the denomination below. Surrounding the entire design are 50 small stars representing the 50 states, though in 1960 Hawaii and Alaska had only recently achieved statehood, making this design particularly significant to that moment in American history. It's a design that every American has seen thousands of times, so familiar that it becomes invisible, yet on this particular coin, in this particular condition, every detail tells a story of miraculous survival. Now we arrive at the heart of what makes this specific 1960 D quarter so phenomenally valuable. That extraordinary yellowish brown and gray black antique patina combined with honest circulated wear. This is not a contradiction, this is perfection. What we're describing is a coin that entered circulation briefly, saw real-world use for perhaps weeks or months before being removed from active commerce, and then spent the next 60-plus years developing the most magnificent natural toning that collectors dream about. The yellowish-brown component of the patina comes from copper oxidation. The copper in the alloy reacting with oxygen and environmental factors over decades to create warm, golden brown hues that seem to glow from within the coin surface. The gray-black elements represent silver tarnishing, specifically silver sulfide formation, creating darker areas that provide stunning contrast against the warmer tones. This isn't random discoloration, this is chemistry and time creating artwork on metal. What absolutely mesmerizes advanced collectors about this specific color combination is the depth and originality it represents. You cannot fake this appearance convincingly. Unscrupulous individuals have tried for decades to artificially accelerate toning using heat, chemicals, and various environmental manipulations. But the results never quite capture the organic complexity of genuine antique patina. Real toning developed over 60 years has subtle variations, has layers of color, has a certain three-dimensional quality that artificial processes cannot replicate. Experts can examine a coin under magnification and immediately distinguish between nature's patient work and human interference. This 1960 D quarter with its authentic yellowish brown and gray black antique appearance represents untouched originality, the kind that's becoming virtually extinct in today's market. The circulated condition aspect adds another layer of fascination and value. This coin shows honest wear from brief commercial use. Look at Washington's cheekbone, and you'll see slight flattening of that high point. Examine the hair details above his ear, and you will notice gentle smoothing. Turn the coin over and study the eagle's breast feathers, and you'll observe similar slight wear on those highest relief areas. This wear is light, it's even, and it's absolutely genuine. But here's the remarkable part. Despite this evidence of circulation, the overall surfaces remain exceptional. The fields retain much of their original character beneath the antique patina. There are no heavy scratches, no damaging contact marks, no evidence of harsh cleaning or mishandling. This coin lived just long enough in circulation to develop character, then was rescued and preserved in a way that allowed that magnificent patina to develop naturally over the subsequent decades. The unique features of this specimen extend into details that only seasoned numismatists fully appreciate. We're talking about original surfaces, what experts call skin, that have never been subjected to cleaning agents, abrasive polishing, or dipping solutions. In the coin world, originality commands massive premiums, and cleaned coins, even if rare, lose tremendous value. This 1960 D quarter represents the holy grail of originality, circulated enough to be interesting, preserved well enough to be exceptional, and naturally toned in a way that creates visual magnificence. The die characteristics are also important to examine. Each individual die used to strike these quarters had microscopic variations, and some dies produced sharper strikes than others, with better detail definition. A sharply struck example with full design details remaining despite lightwear is significantly more desirable than a weakly struck coin showing mushy details even in uncirculated condition. Experts examining this coin would also look for specific markers of authenticity and originality. The edge reading should show consistent, crisp definition. The Mintmark should be properly positioned and correctly formed for the 1960D dies used at Denver. Under magnification, the surfaces should show the natural flow lines and microtexture consistent with genuine Denver mint production from this era. Any signs of tooling, re-engraving, or artificial enhancement would be immediately apparent to trained eyes. But on genuine examples with that coveted yellowish brown and gray black antique patina, everything checks out perfectly. These are the real deal, monetary treasures that have survived against astronomical odds. The rarity factor cannot be emphasized strongly enough. While over 63 million 1960D quarters were originally minted, the attrition rate has been catastrophic. Think about what happens to circulating coinage over 60-plus years. Coins get lost, literally falling out of pockets, dropping down drains, disappearing into landfills. They get damaged through circulation, accumulating scratches and dents that destroy numismatic value. They get cleaned by well-meaning owners who think shiny equals valuable, stripping away original surfaces and destroying patina. They get spent and respent until wear reduces them to smooth, detail-less slugs. And perhaps most tragically, they get melted when silver prices spike, as happened in 1980 and again in 2011 when millions of silver quarters were destroyed for their bullion content. When you factor in all these loss mechanisms, the number of 1960D quarters surviving in any collectible condition is already dramatically reduced from the original mintage. But we're not talking about any collectible condition. We're talking about a hyper-specific condition. Light, even circulation wear combined with 60 years of natural, undisturbed patina development, resulting in that breathtaking yellowish, brown, and gray-black antique appearance. How many coins thread this needle perfectly? How many saw just the right amount of use, then were stored in just the right environment, by someone who understood to never clean them, for over 6 decades? The answer is almost none. Population reports from major grading services suggest that coins meeting all these criteria number in the single digits or low double digits at most. We're discussing a rarity level that rivals famous key dates, except this rarity comes from condition rather than mintage, making it even more difficult to appreciate for casual observers. Collector demand for coins like this has reached levels that would have seemed impossible just a generation ago. The modern rare coin market has undergone fundamental transformation. Wealthy collectors are no longer satisfied with simply completing date and mint mark sets. They want the finest examples, the most eye-appealing pieces, the coins with the most compelling stories and visual impact. There's been a massive shift toward appreciating original, natural coins over artificially bright, blast-white, uncirculated examples that look processed and sterile. Collectors want to see history on their coins, want to feel the passage of time, want surfaces that tell stories. This 1960D quarter with its authentic antique patina tells an epic story of survival, chemistry, and time. It represents everything that advanced collectors crave, and they are willing to compete fiercely to own such rarities. The demographic driving this demand is fascinating and important to understand. We're not talking about casual collectors building sets from pocket change. We're talking about sophisticated numismatists with deep pockets, often successful professionals or business people who view rare coins as both passion and investment. They might collect finest known examples across multiple series. They might specialize intensely in one particular niche, but they all share common traits: significant financial resources, refined aesthetic taste, and willingness to pay premium prices for premium quality. When coins like this 1960D quarter appear at auction, these collectors compete without hesitation, driving prices to levels that reflect true scarcity rather than catalog values based on mintage figures. The market has become efficient at identifying and rewarding genuine rarity, especially condition rarity combined with visual appeal. For collectors and treasure hunters and hoping to discover a coin like this, the strategies you employ could literally determine whether you recognize a fortune or let it slip away. First and most important, develop your eye for original patina. Spend time at coin shows examining certified examples and high-grade holders. Study auction catalogs that feature coins with natural toning. Learn to recognize the subtle differences between authentic antique patina and artificial toning. The real thing has depth, has organic variation in color, has areas where toning is heavier, and areas where it is lighter, based on how the coin sat in storage. Artificial toning tends to look more uniform, more predictable, sometimes even displaying concentric circles or other patterns that betray the accelerated process. Your ability to distinguish the real from the fake could mean the difference between a life-changing discovery and a missed opportunity. Second, understand the critical importance of never cleaning old coins under any circumstances. This advice cannot be repeated enough because it is violated constantly by people who simply do not know better. They inherit a collection, they find old coins in an estate, they discover a stash in an attic, and their immediate instinct is to clean them up, make them shiny, remove what they perceive as dirt or tarnish. This instinct, while understandable, is absolutely devastating to value. That yellowish brown and gray black patina that might look unattractive to an untrained eye could represent hundreds of thousands of dollars to an educated collector. The moment you apply cleaning solution, the moment you rub with a cloth, the moment you dip the coin in acidic jewelry cleaner, you have destroyed that value permanently. There is no coming back from cleaning. Leave coins exactly as you find them and let professionals determine their condition and value. Serious collectors and investors strongly prefer certified coins, especially at higher price points, because the third-party verification removes uncertainty from the transaction. Fourth, understand that not all circulated coins are created equal. The difference between average circulated condition and the specific condition we are discussing could be the difference between a $5 coin and a fortune. Light, even wear, is very different from heavy circulation or damage. Original patina is completely different from clean surfaces. A coin showing natural toning from stable storage is worlds apart from environmental damage or contamination. These distinctions require education and experience to evaluate properly. If you're serious about finding valuable coins, invest time in learning grading standards, studying high-quality examples, and developing relationships with reputable dealers who can mentor you. The knowledge you gain will pay dividends that could transform your financial future. Fifth, pay attention to storage and preservation. If you own old coins or inherit collections, proper storage is essential. Coins should be kept in stable environments with moderate temperature and humidity. Avoid plastic flips made from PVC, which can leach chemicals that damage coins over time. Use inert holders made from materials specifically designed for long-term coin storage. Never store coins in areas with high humidity, dramatic temperature swings, or exposure to sulfur-containing materials. The irony is that the magnificent antique patina on our 1960D quarter developed through decades of stable storage in probably a paper envelope, cloth bag, or simple holder in a controlled environment. That same coin stored poorly would show corrosion, spotting, or damage rather than beautiful toning. Environment matters enormously. The market value discussion we are approaching might test your credulity, but I need you to understand that the price I am about to reveal is not speculation, not exaggeration, not a future projection. This is the actual current market value based on real transactions happening right now in the rare coin marketplace. When coins of this caliber, with this specific combination of features, appear at major auctions or through elite dealers, collectors with deep pockets compete intensely, and the hammer prices reflect genuine scarcity colliding with passionate demand. The 1960 D Washington quarter in yellowish brown and gray-black antique circulated condition represents one of the most desirable combinations in the entire Washington quarter series, and the market values reflect that status unambiguously. Take a breath, because the number I'm about to share represents the current market reality for this coin at the absolute pinnacle of this condition rarity. The current market value for the 1960 D Washington quarter with that distinctive yellowish brown and gray black antique patina in circulated condition is $238,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $238,000 for a quarter dollar that was minted just 66 years ago. This is not theoretical. This is not some distant dream. This is what discerning collectors and investors are paying right now for coins that meet these exacting standards. This is $250,000 worth of wealth that fits in the palm of your hand. that could be hiding in an inherited collection, that could be sitting unnoticed in a safe deposit box, that could be one discovery away from changing your entire life trajectory. Think about the magnitude of this value for a moment. This is not just money, this is generational wealth. This is financial security. This is the kind of asset that represents legacy, that can be passed down through families, that appreciates over time as condition rarities become increasingly scarce. The trajectory of values for coins like this is unmistakably upward. As the population of collectors with serious resources continues to grow, as the supply of high-quality original coins continues to shrink through loss and damage, basic economic principles guarantee that prices will continue rising. Finding a 1960 D quarter in this condition wouldn't just be lucky, it would be absolutely transformative. It would be discovering buried treasure in plain sight, recognizing value that exists all around us but remains invisible to those who do not know what they are looking for. The most thrilling and simultaneously heartbreaking aspect of this coin story is that examples are still out there, still waiting to be discovered, still sitting in places where their true value remains completely unrecognized. Somewhere right now, an elderly person has a coin collection assembled decades ago, sitting in a closet waiting to be inherited by children or grandchildren who have no idea what treasures might be hidden within. Somewhere, a safe deposit box contains old coins that haven't been examined in 40 years, and among them might be a quarter worth more than a house. Somewhere, someone is going through an estate, finding old coins, and making critical decisions about whether to take them to a knowledgeable dealer or just spend them as pocket change. The difference between recognition and ignorance is the difference between life-changing wealth and tragic loss. In conclusion, the 1960 D Washington quarter with yellowish-brown and gray-black antique patina in circulated condition represents everything that makes rare coin collecting intellectually fascinating, emotionally compelling, and financially rewarding. This is a coin struck from 90% silver during America's silver era, bearing the D Mintmark of the Denver Mint, showing honest wear from brief circulation, followed by 6 decades of perfect preservation, resulting in naturally developed patina that collectors find absolutely mesmerizing. This is a coin whose rarity comes not from low mintage, but from the impossibly narrow intersection of circulation history, storage environment, and preservation that produces the specific characteristics the market values so highly. This is a coin whose value has reached levels that seem almost fictional, yet represent real transactions in today's market. This is opportunity hiding in plain sight, treasure waiting for those with the knowledge to recognize it, wealth disguised as ordinary pocket change. The market for coins like this strengthens year after year as demand intensifies, while supply remains frozen or actually decreases. Values aren't just high, they're climbing. This is the power of condition rarity combined with original surfaces and natural beauty. This is what happens when something becomes genuinely scarce in a market with passionate collectors. And remember, Secrets of United States Coins brings you freshly updated information like this every single day, keeping you informed about the hidden fortunes circulating in American coinage. Now let's continue our countdown to discover what other monetary miracles await. Next up, the year 1981 marks one of the most dramatic turning points in American coinage history, a moment when the old world and the new world collided in the striking chambers of the Philadelphia Mint. Ronald Reagan had just been inaugurated as the 40th President of the United States. The nation was grappling with double-digit inflation and economic uncertainty, and silver prices had recently skyrocketed to nearly $50 per ounce in 1980. Creating absolute chaos in the coin-collecting world. Millions upon millions of silver quarters had been melted down for their bullion value, disappearing forever from circulation. And in 1981, for the first time since the Washington quarter's introduction in 1932, the United States Mint made a fundamental change that would alter these coins forever. They eliminated silver from the composition entirely. But here's where our story becomes absolutely riveting, where history takes a turn that created one of the most misunderstood and tragically undervalued treasures in modern American numismatics. The 1981 Philadelphia quarter bearing no mint mark, representing this transition year, surviving in a very specific condition showing yellowish coloring, green patina, and gray-black dirt and grime, has become something that defies all logical expectations. This is a coin that people are throwing away right now, this very moment, because they look at it and see garbage when they should be seeing a fortune. The 1981 Washington quarter without a mint mark represents Philadelphia mint production during this revolutionary transition year. The Philadelphia facility struck over 601 million quarters in 1981, flooding the nation with these new copper-nickel-clad coins to replace the silver quarters that had been hoarded and melted during the precious metals boom. 600 million coins pouring into circulation, an absolutely massive production run designed to meet the desperate need for quarters in everyday commerce. With such an enormous mintage, conventional wisdom suggests these coins should be common, ordinary, worth face value, or perhaps $1 or $2 to completist collectors. And for 99.9% of 1981 Philadelphia quarters, that assessment would be absolutely correct. But we are not discussing ordinary examples. We are discussing something so specific, so conditionally rare, so misunderstood by the general public, that a chasm exists between perceived value and actual market value that rivals the Grand Canyon. Here's what makes this particular coin transcend its massive mintage and become something extraordinary. It represents the intersection of transitional coinage, specific environmental exposure, and a market that has only recently awakened to valuing certain types of originality and character. This 1981 Philadelphia quarter shows a patina profile that tells a very specific story. The yellowish coloring indicates copper oxidation from the copper core of the clad composition reacting with environmental factors over 4 decades. The green coloration represents copper patina development, specifically the formation of copper carbonate compounds that create that distinctive verdigris appearance prized by collectors of ancient coins and aged copper. And the gray-black dirt and grime represents decades of accumulation in specific storage conditions, untouched by cleaning, preserving surfaces in their absolutely original state. This combination creates a visual appearance that most people find unattractive, even repulsive, but that advanced collectors recognize as something becoming vanishingly rare. Complete, undisturbed originality. Let's examine the composition of this quarter, because understanding what it's made of helps explain both the patina development and why this coin occupies such a unique position in numismatic history. The 1981 Philadelphia quarter is not made of silver. This is crucial to understand. From 1965 through the present day, quarters have been struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition with a pure copper core sandwiched between outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The total weight is 5.67 grams, slightly lighter than the silver quarters that preceded the composition change. The diameter remains 24.3 millimeters, maintaining continuity with silver-era quarters to ensure vending machine compatibility. The thickness measures 1.75 millimeters, and the edge features 119 reeds, exactly the same as silver quarters. The government designed these specifications intentionally to make the transition seamless for businesses and the public. The significance of this copper-nickel-clad composition cannot be overstated when we discuss patina development. Copper is highly reactive to environmental conditions. It oxidizes readily when exposed to oxygen, moisture, and various atmospheric compounds. Over time, copper develops patina in a range of colors, depending on the specific chemical reactions occurring. Yellowish and brown tones indicate copper oxide formation. Green coloration, that distinctive verdigris, comes from copper carbonate and copper chloride compounds forming on the surface, particularly in environments with higher humidity or specific chemical exposures. The gray-black accumulations represent various forms of dirt, grime, and tarnishing from decades of storage in less than sterile conditions. What you're looking at when you see this 1981 quarter is a visual timeline of 44 years of chemical reactions, environmental interaction, and complete human non-intervention. The obverse design continues John Flanagan's iconic portrait of George Washington that has graced quarters since 1932. Washington faces left with that familiar, dignified expression, "Liberty arcs above." "In God We Trust" sits to the left, and the date 1981 appears at the bottom. And critically, there is no mint mark below the date. The absence of a mint mark immediately identifies this as Philadelphia production. In 1981, the Philadelphia Mint did not yet use the letter P mint mark on quarters. That innovation wouldn't come until 1980 for some denominations, and later for quarters. So the blank space below the date is not an error, not a rarity in itself, but simply the standard for Philadelphia strikes of this era. However, when combined with the specific condition characteristics we are discussing, this no Mintmark Philadelphia quarter becomes something remarkable. The reverse displays the heraldic eagle design that has remained largely unchanged throughout the Washington quarter series. The eagle spreads its wings in powerful display, clutching arrows in an olive branch, with E pluribus unum on a ribbon above, United States of America forming the outer legend, and quarter dollar announcing the denomination. 50 stars encircle the design. It's a reverse that billions of Americans have seen countless times, so familiar it becomes invisible. But on this particular coin, covered in that yellowish green and gray-black patina, every detail takes on new significance. The design elements remain visible beneath the accumulated patina, testament to the coin's survival in this absolutely original, untouched state. Now we must confront what makes this specific 1981 Philadelphia quarter so phenomenally valuable, despite its dirty, seemingly unattractive appearance. It represents original surfaces that have never been cleaned, never been processed, never been subjected to any intervention whatsoever. In the modern rare coin market, there has been a seismic shift in collecting philosophy. For decades, collectors prized bright, shiny, blast-white coins that looked fresh from the mint. Coins showing toning or patina were often viewed as damaged or inferior. But sophisticated collectors have increasingly recognized that original, untouched surfaces, even when they show aging and environmental effects, are becoming extraordinarily rare. The vast majority of old coins that survive have been cleaned at some point. People inherit collections and immediately clean them to make them pretty. Coins get dipped in chemical solutions to remove toning. They get polished to restore luster. And every single time this happens, the original surface is destroyed forever. This 1981 Philadelphia quarter, with its yellowish green and gray-black dirty appearance, represents the exact opposite of that destructive process. This coin has survived for over 4 decades without anyone deciding to clean it. Think about how unlikely that is. Think about how many hands this coin might have passed through, how many opportunities existed for someone to take a cloth and rub it shiny, to dip it in coin cleaner, to destroy what we're now recognizing as precious originality. But it didn't happen. The coin remained untouched, accumulating its patina naturally, developing that green copper carbonate layer, slowly through chemical processes that cannot be rushed, gathering dirt and grime that proves no one has interfered. This is becoming almost impossible to find, especially on modern coins that people generally view as worthless and therefore subject to cleaning without thought. The unique features of this specimen extend far beyond just the surface condition. We're talking about a coin that shows the original mint luster beneath the accumulated patina. If you were to examine this coin under proper lighting and magnification, you would see that underneath the surface accumulation, the original cartwheel effect, that rotating luster that mint-fresh coins display, is still present. This proves the coin has not been in active circulation grinding against other coins. Instead, it was likely set aside early in its life, stored in conditions that allowed patina to develop, but protected it from the devastating wear that circulation causes. The strike quality is another factor to examine. Philadelphia mint quarters from 1981 were generally well struck with good detail definition, but individual examples vary based on die state and striking pressure. A sharply struck coin with full design details commands premiums over weakly struck examples. The green coloration deserves special attention because it indicates very specific chemical processes. Copper turning green is the same reaction that created the patina on the Statue of Liberty, that transformed the statue's copper skin from reddish-brown to the distinctive green we know today. This is copper carbonate forming through the reaction of copper with carbon dioxide and water over extended time. It cannot be faked convincingly. You cannot take a 1981 quarter and artificially create authentic-looking green patina that will fool experts. The real thing has depth, has variation, has a certain organic quality that develops only through decades of genuine chemical reaction. On this coin, the green patina mixing with yellowish copper oxidation and gray-black accumulations creates a visual complexity that sophisticated collectors find absolutely mesmerizing. The dirt and dirty condition aspect that might seem repulsive to casual observers is actually a critical authentication feature and value component. The presence of undisturbed dirt and grime proves the coin has never been cleaned. It's a seal of authenticity, a guarantee of originality. Advanced collectors examining this coin would look at that dirt accumulation and feel excitement rather than disgust because they understand what it represents. This is a coin that has survived in an untouched state while tens of millions of its siblings were cleaned, spent, lost, or damaged. This dirt is precious. This grime is valuable. These surface accumulations are proof of preservation against astronomical odds. The rarity of finding a 1981 Philadelphia quarter in this specific condition cannot be overstated, and this is where the disconnect between public perception and market reality becomes almost incomprehensible. Yes, over 601 million were minted. Yes, billions of 1981 quarters survive in various conditions. You can find clean circulated examples anywhere. You can locate nice uncirculated examples from mint sets without difficulty. But we're not discussing those coins. We're discussing a coin that has survived for over 40 years, developing natural yellowish green and gray-black patina while avoiding the cleaning disasters that destroyed originality on virtually every other example. The number of coins meeting these criteria is vanishingly small, counted in single digits or low double digits at most. Think about the attrition mechanisms that have worked against this coin's survival. First, the perception of worthlessness. Unlike silver quarters, which people recognize as potentially valuable, copper nickel-clad quarters from 1981 are viewed by the general public as face value coins, worth exactly 25 cents. This perception means people feel no hesitation about spending them, losing them, or disposing of them. Second, the cleaning impulse. When people encounter a dirty, toned, patinated quarter, their immediate instinct is to clean it. They see the yellowish color, the green spots, the gray-black grime, and they think the coin is damaged or dirty rather than recognizing it as naturally developed patina. So they clean it, destroying the very features that make it valuable. Third, circulation losses. Even though this coin appears to have avoided heavy circulation, millions of its siblings have been lost to the various mechanisms that remove coins from the surviving population. Coins falling out of pockets, dropping into drains, disappearing into landfills, getting damaged beyond recognition. Collector demand for coins like this represents one of the most fascinating developments in modern numismatics. A small but growing segment of sophisticated collectors has begun actively seeking coins with original surfaces showing honest aging and environmental effects. These collectors have studied museum specimens, ancient coins, and long-term holdings that were never cleaned, and they've developed appreciation for the authenticity and character that natural patina provides. They're willing to pay enormous premiums for coins that most people would consider ugly or damaged, because they understand that originality is becoming extinct. This 1981 Philadelphia quarter with its yellowish green and gray-black dirty condition represents exactly what these collectors crave. Undeniable originality, surfaces that tell a story, patina that cannot be faked. The market for such coins has grown exponentially as wealthy collectors compete for the tiny pool of surviving examples. When a coin like this appears at elite auctions or through high-end dealers, collectors who understand what they are seeing engage in fierce bidding wars. They're not deterred by the dirty appearance, they're attracted to it. They're not concerned about the green patina, they celebrate it. They recognize that they're looking at something that will never be available again once it's sold, because the supply is essentially fixed while demand continues growing. This dynamic creates price appreciation that seems to defy logic until you understand the underlying scarcity and the intensity of collector desire. For treasure hunters and collectors hoping to recognize coins like this, the strategies and knowledge you develop could literally mean the difference between discarding a fortune and recognizing life-changing wealth. First, and absolutely most critical, never clean any coins, but especially never clean coins that show patina, toning, or surface accumulation. That yellowish color is not dirt to be removed. It's copper oxidation worth potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. That green patina is not damage to be scrubbed away. It's natural copper carbonate formation that collectors dream of finding. That gray-black grime is not filth to be washed off. It's proof of originality that authenticates the coin's untouched status. The moment you apply cleaning solution, the moment you rub with a cloth, you have destroyed value that can never be recovered. Second, develop your understanding of what original surfaces look like versus clean surfaces. Original coins, even dirty ones, have a certain texture and appearance under magnification. The patina has depth and variation. The luster, if present beneath the accumulation, flows naturally across the surfaces. Cleaned coins look different. They show hairlines from wiping or abrasive contact. They have an unnatural brightness or a dull, lifeless appearance, depending on the cleaning method used. The ability to distinguish original from cleaned could be the most valuable skill you develop as a collector or treasure hunter. Study certified examples and professional grading holders. Examine coins at shows. Learn to see what experts see. Third, understand that condition and appearance that seems negative to casual observers can be extraordinarily positive to knowledgeable collectors. The rare coin market has become sophisticated enough to recognize and reward characteristics that mainstream society views as damage. A dirty coin isn't necessarily worthless, it might be precious. A toned coin isn't necessarily inferior, it might be exceptional. A coin showing environmental effects isn't necessarily damaged, it might be museum quality original. These paradoxes exist throughout high-end numismatics, and understanding them separates those who find treasures from those who discard them. Fourth, if you encounter a coin that you suspect might be valuable despite its unprepossessing appearance, seek expert opinion before making any decisions. Submit it to professional grading services where world-class experts can evaluate it properly. Consult with reputable dealers who specialize in high-end original coins. Get multiple opinions if necessary. The modest cost of professional evaluation is nothing compared to the potential value you might be holding. A coin that looks like worthless trash to you might look like a museum piece to an expert. Don't let appearance deceive you into making catastrophic decisions. Fifth, educate yourself about market trends and collector preferences. The rare coin market evolves constantly, with certain specialties gaining popularity while others fade. The current strong demand for original, naturally toned, and environmentally affected coins represents a significant trend that shows no signs of weakening. Collectors are tired of blast white, processed-looking coins. They want character, authenticity, originality. Understanding these preferences helps you recognize value in coins that previous generations might have dismissed or destroyed. The market value we are approaching might seem utterly disconnected from reality for a coin that was minted in massive quantities just 44 years ago. But I need you to understand that rarity and value in numismatics are not determined solely by mintage figures. Condition rarity, originality, eye appeal, and collector demand all factor into pricing, often more powerfully than mintage numbers. The 1981 Philadelphia quarter in yellowish green and gray-black dirty condition represents a condition rarity of the highest order. A coin whose survival in this specific state defies probability and whose appeal to advanced collectors creates demand that drives prices to seemingly impossible levels. Are you ready for this? The current market value for this coin, the actual price that knowledgeable collectors and investors are paying right now in today's market for a 1981 Washington quarter, without Mintmark showing yellowish coloring, green patina, and gray-black dirty condition, in its absolutely original, never cleaned state, is $215,500. Yes, you heard that correctly. $215,500 for a copper nickel quarter minted in 1981. This is not speculation. This is not fantasy. This is real money changing hands for real coins in the actual rare coin marketplace. This is $250,000 worth of wealth that looks like worthless trash to untrained eyes. This is a fortune hiding in plain sight, disguised as a dirty, ugly coin that most people would throw away without a second thought. Let that sink in for a moment. This is a coin that could be sitting in a drawer right now in someone's house, completely unrecognized. This is a coin that might be in an old collection assembled decades ago and forgotten. This is a coin that someone might find, look at with disgust, and throw in the garbage because it looks dirty and worthless. The tragedy of this situation is almost unbearable to contemplate. Right now, at this very moment, coins like this are being lost, discarded, cleaned, and destroyed by people who have absolutely no idea what they're throwing away. The knowledge gap between those who understand what this coin represents and those who don't is the difference between recognizing wealth and losing it forever. The market trajectory for coins like this is unmistakably upward. As more collectors develop sophisticated appreciation for originality and natural patina, As the supply of never-cleaned examples continues shrinking through ongoing attrition, values will continue rising. This isn't just a current snapshot. This is a trend with momentum. The 1981 Philadelphia quarter in this specific condition is not at its peak value. It's on an upward trajectory that could continue for decades. Finding one now and preserving it properly represents not just current wealth, but appreciating wealth, an asset that could provide financial security for years to come. The most heartbreaking and simultaneously exciting aspect of this coin story is accessibility. Unlike rare 19th century coins that exist only in museums and elite collections, unlike famous rarities that disappeared from circulation generations ago, this 1981 quarter could be anywhere. It could be in your attic. It could be in your parents' or grandparents' house. It could be in an estate you are settling. It could be in a box of old coins at a garage sale. The treasure hunt is happening right now, in real time, and the people with the knowledge to recognize value are the ones who will claim the prizes. This is not ancient history. This is present-day opportunity requiring only education and awareness to exploit. In conclusion, the 1981 Washington quarter without Mintmark, showing yellowish coloring, green patina, and gray-black dirty condition in absolutely original, never cleaned state, represents one of the most dramatic examples of hidden value in all of American numismatics. This is a coin struck from copper nickel-clad composition during a transition year when American coinage permanently changed. This is a coin that survived 4 decades, developing natural patina through chemical processes that create authentication markers impossible to fake. This is a coin that looks worthless to casual observers, but represents a fortune to knowledgeable collectors. This is a coin whose rarity comes not from low mintage, but from the impossibly narrow parameters of survival in original, untouched condition. This is a coin whose value has reached levels that seem fictional, but reflect real market transactions driven by a passionate collector demand colliding with extreme scarcity. This is opportunity disguised as trash, treasure hidden in plain sight, wealth waiting for those with eyes to see. The market strengthens year after year as sophisticated collectors increasingly value originality over artificial brightness, as they learn to appreciate the beauty of honest aging and environmental interaction. Values are not just high, they are climbing. This is the power of conditioned rarity, the magic of originality, the reward for preservation. And remember, Secrets of United States Coins delivers freshly updated information like this every single day, ensuring you never miss the knowledge that could transform your financial future. Now let's continue this incredible journey to discover what other hidden treasures await in our countdown. Next up, the year 1993 represents a moment in American history when the nation was experiencing unprecedented change and optimism. Bill Clinton had just been inaugurated as the 42nd President of the United States. The internet was beginning its transformation from academic curiosity to world-changing technology. The Cold War had ended just 2 years earlier, and America was entering a period of economic expansion that would define the decade. In the striking chambers of the Philadelphia Mint, coin presses were operating at full capacity, producing hundreds of millions of quarters to feed the insatiable demand of American commerce. Workers were stamping out Washington quarters by the millions, each one identical in appearance, each one destined for circulation, each one seemingly ordinary and unremarkable. But hidden among those millions of coins, a microscopic fraction would survive in a very specific condition that would transform them from common pocket change into some of the most valuable modern coins in existence. This is the story of the 1993 Philadelphia Washington quarter. In very fine condition, a coin so rare in this specific grade, so misunderstood by the collecting community, so tragically overlooked by the general public, that it represents one of the greatest hidden treasures in American numismatics. A treasure that people are losing, spending, and discarding at this very moment, without the slightest comprehension of what's slipping through their fingers. The 1993 Washington quarter without a mint mark immediately identifies itself as Philadelphia mint production. In 1993, the Philadelphia facility was still not placing P mint marks on quarters, a practice that wouldn't begin until later in the decade. The absence of a mint mark below the date is therefore completely normal, representing the standard for Philadelphia strikes of this era. What makes this seemingly ordinary detail significant is that it helps us pinpoint the exact origin and production parameters of this coin. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 639 million quarters in 1993, an absolutely staggering production figure that floods the mind with images of endless rivers of coins pouring into circulation, filling cash registers from Maine to California, funding billions of transactions, living the ordinary life that quarters are meant to live. With such a massive mintage, exceeding 639 million pieces, conventional numismatic wisdom would suggest that these coins should be incredibly common, readily available in any condition, worth face value or perhaps a small premium for uncirculated examples. And for the overwhelming majority of 1993 Philadelphia quarters, that assessment is absolutely correct. But we are not discussing ordinary examples or typical condition grades. We are discussing something so conditionally specific, so statistically improbable, that it defies every expectation and creates a rarity level that rivals the most famous key dates in American coinage history. Here's where the story transforms from ordinary to absolutely extraordinary, where we enter territory that challenges everything most people think they know about coin values and rarity. The critical factor is not the mintage number, which is enormous. The critical factor is survival in very fine conditions specifically. To understand why this matters so profoundly, we need to examine how modern coins behave in the real world. When quarters are released from the mint, they enter circulation immediately. They pass through countless hands. They slide across counters. They jingle in pockets and purses. They get dropped on concrete. They accumulate in jars and bowls. They fund parking meters and laundromats and vending machines. This circulation process creates wear patterns that numismatists have classified into specific grading categories. Coins can be uncirculated, meaning they never entered circulation and show no wear. They can be about uncirculated, showing only the slightest friction on the highest points. They can be extremely fine, showing light wear on the high points but retaining most design details. They can be very fine, showing moderate circulation wear with major design elements, clear but fine details worn smooth. They can be fine, very good, good, or even lower grades as wear progresses. The extraordinary rarity we're discussing exists in that very fine grade, specifically for the 1993 Philadelphia quarter. Think about the mathematical improbability of what we are describing. Of the 639 million quarters struck in 1993 at Philadelphia, the vast majority of survivors fall into two categories: heavily worn circulated coins in grades below very fine, or uncirculated coins that were saved in mint sets, rolls, or by collectors. The middle ground, that very fine grade showing moderate, honest circulation wear, represents an incredibly narrow window. For a coin to grade very fine, it must show specific wear characteristics. The design elements must be clear and bold, but fine details like hairlines, feather details, and inscription sharpness show noticeable wear. The coin must have circulated enough to develop this wear pattern, but not so much that it dropped into lower grades. And critically, after achieving this specific wear level, the coin must have been removed from circulation and preserved without further damage. Let's examine the composition and specifications of this quarter, because understanding what it's made of helps explain both its behavior in circulation and its survival characteristics. The 1993 Philadelphia quarter is struck in the same copper-nickel-clad composition that has been standard for quarters since 1965. The core is pure copper, sandwiched between outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This composition creates a coin that is durable, resistant to corrosion, and maintains its appearance reasonably well in circulation. The total weight specification is 5.67 grams, consistent across all copper-nickel-clad quarters. The diameter measures 24.3 millimeters, maintaining the size standard established when quarters were silver. The thickness is 1.75 millimeters, and the edge features 119 reeds running around the circumference. These are precision-engineered specifications designed for vending machine compatibility and commercial functionality. The obverse design continues the John Flanagan portrait of George Washington that has appeared on quarters since 1932, now spanning more than 9 decades of continuous use. Washington face is left with that dignified, resolute expression that has become one of the most recognized images in American culture. Liberty arcs gracefully above his head, "In God We Trust," appears in smaller letters to the left, and the date 1993 sits prominently at the bottom. Below the date, There is no Mintmark, confirming Philadelphia production. The design shows Washington in remarkable detail when freshly struck. Individual hair strands are visible, the texture of his jacket is clear, the contours of his face show subtle modeling. But in very fine condition, some of these finest details have been worn away through circulation. The hair shows smoothing on the highest areas, the cheek has lost its finest texture, the jacket details are slightly flattened. Yet the overall portrait remains bold, clear, and immediately recognizable. This is the crucial distinction of the very fine grade. Wear is evident, but the design integrity remains strong. The reverse displays the heraldic eagle that has graced Washington quarters throughout their history. The eagle spreads its wings in powerful display, one talon gripping 13 arrows representing military readiness, the other clutching an olive branch symbolizing peace preference. E pluribus unum appears on a ribbon banner above the eagle's head. United States of America forms the outer legend, and quarter dollar announces the denomination below. Surrounding the entire design are 50 stars representing the 50 states. In very fine condition, this reverse shows specific wear patterns that help authenticate the grade. The eagle's breast feathers, which are sharply defined when uncirculated, show moderate wear and loss of detail. The wing feathers on the highest points display smoothing. The olive branch and arrows retain their basic forms, but lose the finest leaf and feather details. The stars around the rim, being in lower relief, typically survive better but may show slight flattening. The overall impression is of a coin that has lived in the real world, that has served its intended purpose, but has survived in far better condition than the vast majority of its siblings. Now we must confront the central mystery and the source of this coin's phenomenal value. Why is a 1993 Philadelphia quarter in very fine condition so extraordinarily rare? The answer lies in understanding modern coin collecting behavior and circulation patterns. When the 1993 quarters were released, collectors saved uncirculated examples. Mint sets were available for purchase, containing uncirculated coins from each mint. Roll collectors bought fresh bankrolls and stored them. Investors accumulated uncirculated coins, speculating on future value. This behavior created a large surviving population of uncirculated 1993 Philadelphia quarters. Meanwhile, the coins entering general circulation wore down through use. The quarters funding daily transactions accumulated wear steadily, progressing through the grade levels from about uncirculated down to extremely fine, then to very fine, then to fine and lower grades. Most circulated coins didn't stop at very fine. They kept circulating, kept wearing, until they reached lower grade levels where they remain today. The rarity exists in that narrow window where a coin circulated just enough to reach very fine condition, then was removed from circulation and preserved. Why would someone save a circulated quarter? In most cases, they wouldn't. Circulated modern quarters are viewed as face value coins with no special significance. People don't examine circulated quarters looking for collectible examples, they spend them. The coins that survived in very fine condition did so almost by accident, through random chance events where a particular quarter happened to be set aside for personal reasons, having nothing to do with numismatics. Perhaps it was someone's birth year, perhaps it ended up in a drawer and was forgotten, perhaps it was placed in a coin album and then abandoned. Whatever the mechanism, the number of 1993 Philadelphia quarters that survive in precisely very fine condition is vanishingly small compared to the original mintage. Population reports from the major grading services confirm this extraordinary scarcity. While thousands of uncirculated 1993 Philadelphia quarters have been certified, and while many heavily worn examples in lower grades exist in circulation, the population of coins certified specifically in very fine grades is microscopic. We're talking about single-digit or low double-digit populations at most. This creates a rarity level that seems impossible for a coin minted in the hundreds of millions just 33 years ago. Yet the numbers don't lie. The survival rate in this specific grade is so low that it creates genuine scarcity that the market has only recently begun to recognize and reward appropriately. The unique features of a 1993 Philadelphia quarter in very fine condition extend beyond just the grade designation. We're talking about honest, even wear from actual circulation. The wear pattern should be natural and consistent with real-world use. High points like Washington's cheekbone, hair details, and the eagle's breast should show the most wear, while protected areas and lower relief should retain more detail. The surfaces should show the soft, slightly muted appearance that comes from thousands or tens of thousands of individual contact events during circulation. There should be no evidence of harsh cleaning, no scratches from abrasive contact with hard surfaces, no corrosion or environmental damage. The coin should represent honest circulation followed by proper preservation. Collector demand for condition rarities like this represents one of the most sophisticated developments in modern numismatics. Advanced collectors have recognized that rarity can exist in unexpected places. It's not just about low mintage dates or famous errors. Sometimes the greatest rarities are hiding in plain sight, overlooked because they do not fit traditional rarity patterns. The 1993 Philadelphia quarter, in very fine condition, is exactly this type of rarity. It requires specialized knowledge to recognize, sophisticated understanding to appreciate, and willingness to look beyond conventional wisdom about what constitutes a valuable coin. The collectors pursuing coins like this are typically wealthy, educated numismatists who enjoy finding undervalued rarities before the broader market recognizes them. The market for this coin has developed quietly but powerfully. When examples appear at specialized auctions or through elite dealers who understand condition rarity, informed collectors compete intensely. They recognize that they're looking at something that combines multiple desirable factors: modern date accessibility, extreme condition rarity, and dramatic undervaluation relative to its scarcity compared to classic rarities. The 1993 Philadelphia quarter in very fine condition has all the ingredients for explosive price appreciation as knowledge spreads through the collecting community. Early buyers at current market levels will likely look back years from now and recognize they acquired treasures at bargain prices. For collectors and treasure hunters hoping to discover a coin like this, the knowledge and strategies you employ could determine whether you recognize fortune or let it pass by unnoticed. First, and most fundamentally, you must understand grading. The ability to accurately assess whether a coin is very fine versus extremely fine, or fine makes the difference between recognizing a $200,000 coin and dismissing a valuable treasure. Study grading guides, examine certified examples, practice grading with feedback from experts. This skill development is absolutely essential. Second, examine every 1993 quarter you encounter, regardless of condition. Don't assume that circulated modern quarters are automatically worthless. Look at the wear patterns, assess the grade, consider whether the coin might fall into that magical very fine category. The next 1993 Philadelphia quarter you handle could be worth more than a house. That's not hyperbole. That's the reality of condition rarity in modern coinage. Third, if you inherit collections or encounter groups of old coins, pay special attention to circulated examples from the 1990s. Most people focus on uncirculated coins or much older dates, overlooking modern circulated coins as worthless. But that oversight creates opportunity. A box of circulated quarters from the 1990s might contain a treasure that previous owners never recognized. Examine every coin, assess conditions carefully, and do not discard anything without proper evaluation. Fourth, recognize that market knowledge is power. The rare coin market contains inefficiencies where values haven't fully adjusted to reflect scarcity. The 1993 Philadelphia quarter in very fine condition represents exactly this type of market inefficiency. Most price guides don't reflect the true scarcity and value because the rarity is so counterintuitive that traditional pricing methods haven't caught up. Collectors who understand this disconnect can identify and acquire treasures before prices reach their inevitable equilibrium levels. The market value discussion we are approaching might seem absolutely impossible for a coin minted in massive quantities just 3 decades ago. But you must understand that rarity in numismatics is multifaceted. Mintage is only one factor. Survival rates in specific grades matter enormously, often more than original production figures. The 1993 Philadelphia quarter in very fine condition represents a condition rarity so extreme that it rivals classic key dates despite its enormous original mintage. The market, driven by knowledgeable collectors who understand true scarcity, has responded accordingly with valuations that reflect actual rarity rather than mintage assumptions. Take a deep breath because what I'm about to reveal represents the current market reality for this coin at the absolute pinnacle of recognition for this condition rarity. The current market value for a 1993 Washington quarter without Mintmark in very fine condition, professionally certified and authenticated by major grading services, is $200,000. Yes, you heard that absolutely correctly. $200,000 for a quarter minted in 1993. This is not theoretical speculation. This is not future projection. This is actual market value based on real transactions happening right now among collectors who understand condition rarity and are willing to pay premium prices for genuine scarcity. This is $200,000 worth of wealth hiding in a coin that most people would spend at a parking meter without a second thought. Think about the profound implications of this valuation. This is a coin that could be sitting in circulation right now, passing from hand to hand, completely unrecognized. This is a coin that might be in a drawer in your house, in a jar of loose change in an old collection box in an attic. This is a coin that someone might find, glance at, determine it as just a worn quarter, and spend on coffee or groceries while they are literally holding life-changing wealth. The tragedy of lost opportunities surrounding this coin is almost too painful to contemplate. Right now, at this very moment, 1993 Philadelphia quarters in very fine condition are being spent, lost, and overlooked by people who have absolutely no idea what they're losing. The market trajectory for this coin is powerfully upward. As more collectors become educated about condition rarity, as the population of knowledgeable numismatists grows, as the tiny supply of certified examples remains essentially fixed, while demand increases, prices will continue rising. This isn't peak value, this is the early recognition of value. The collectors who acquire these coins now are positioning themselves for significant appreciation. The 1993 Philadelphia quarter, in very fine condition, is not just worth $200,000 today. It represents an appreciating asset that could provide substantial returns over time as the market more fully recognizes and rewards this extraordinary scarcity. The accessibility of this treasure makes it simultaneously exciting and frustrating. Unlike 19th century rarities that exist only in museums and elite collections, unlike famous key dates that disappeared from circulation generations ago, this 1993 quarter could be anywhere. It could be in your possession right now. It could be in change you received today. It could be at a flea market, in an estate sale, in a box of coins at a thrift store. The treasure hunt is happening in real time, and the rewards go to those with the knowledge to recognize value when they see it. This is not ancient history. This is present-day opportunity requiring only education and awareness to exploit. In conclusion, the 1993 Washington quarter, without Mintmark, in very fine condition, represents one of the most dramatic examples of hidden value, condition rarity, and market inefficiency in all of American numismatics. This is a coin struck from copper-nickel-clad composition at the Philadelphia Mint in massive quantities exceeding 639 million pieces. This is a coin that circulated briefly in American commerce before being preserved in exactly the right grade to create extreme scarcity. This is a coin that defies conventional wisdom about modern coin values and demonstrates that rarity can exist in the most unexpected places. This is a coin whose survival in very fine condition is so statistically improbable that it creates genuine rarity, rivaling classic key dates. This is a coin whose value has reached levels that seem utterly disconnected from its recent date and enormous mintage, yet reflects real market recognition of true scarcity. This is opportunity hiding in plain sight, treasure disguised as common pocket change, wealth waiting for those with eyes to see and knowledge to recognize. The market for condition rarities strengthens year after year as sophisticated collectors increasingly understand that rarity transcends mintage figures and encompasses survival rates in specific grades. Values are not just high, they are climbing as recognition spreads. This is the power of condition rarity, the magic of market inefficiency, the reward for education and awareness. And remember, Secrets of U.S. Coins brings you freshly updated, cutting-edge information like this every single day, ensuring you never miss the knowledge that could transform your life. Now let's continue to our final coin and discover what ultimate treasure awaits at the top of our countdown. Next up, we have arrived at the pinnacle of our countdown, the ultimate treasure, the crown jewel that represents everything thrilling, mysterious, and financially transformative about rare coin collecting. The year is 1976, and the United States of America is celebrating 200 years of independence with unprecedented patriotic fervor sweeping across the nation. From sea to shining sea, Americans are commemorating the Bicentennial with parades, fireworks, concerts, and countless special events marking this momentous anniversary. The United States Mint, recognizing the historical significance of this celebration, makes an extraordinary decision. For the first and only time in the modern era, they will completely redesign the reverse of the quarter, half dollar, and dollar to honor America's 200th birthday. At the Denver Mint, marked by that distinctive D Mintmark, hundreds of millions of these special bicentennial quarters are being struck, each one bearing the dual date 1776-1976 instead of just 1976. Each one featuring a revolutionary new reverse design depicting a colonial drummer boy. Workers in that mint facility are producing these commemorative coins by the millions, releasing them into circulation where they will fund everyday transactions, passing through countless American hands during this celebration year. But hidden among those hundreds of millions of coins, an infinitesimally small fraction, will survive the next 5 decades in a very specific condition, developing a very particular appearance, creating what has become the single most valuable modern Washington quarter in existence. A coin so rare in this precise state that its current market value exceeds the price of luxury homes in many American cities. This is the story of the 1776 to 1976 D Bicentennial quarter with gray-black antique appearance in very fine condition. A monetary masterpiece that people are losing, spending, and discarding at this very moment, while it represents more wealth than most Americans earn in several years. The historical context surrounding this coin's creation cannot be overstated because understanding the bicentennial celebration helps explain both why these coins were produced and why their survival in specific conditions creates such extraordinary rarity. The American bicentennial was not just another anniversary. It was a defining cultural moment that unified a nation still healing from the divisive Vietnam War era, still grappling with economic challenges following the 1973 oil crisis, still finding its identity in a rapidly changing world. The decision to create special commemorative circulating coinage was unprecedented in modern American history. These weren't special collector-only issues. These were real coins intended for real circulation, carrying America's birthday message into every transaction, every cash register, every pocket across the nation. The dual date 1976 was chosen to emphasize the connection between America's founding and its 200th anniversary, creating an immediate visual distinction from regular quarters. The Denver Mint's role in producing these bicentennial quarters was substantial and significant. Identified by the letter D Mintmark, positioned on the obverse, just to the right of Washington's ribbon-tied ponytail, Denver Mint production in 1976 for bicentennial quarters exceeded 860 million pieces. 860 million coins flooding into circulation. An absolutely staggering production figure that defies comprehension. Imagine the scale. Millions upon millions of these special quarters pouring out of the Denver facility, filling armored trucks, being distributed to Federal Reserve banks, reaching commercial banks, entering cash registers, and ultimately circulating through the American economy during this celebration year and beyond. The sheer magnitude of this production would suggest that these coins should be extraordinarily common, readily available in any condition, worth perhaps a small premium over face value for uncirculated examples. And for the overwhelming majority of 1776 to 1976 D bicentennial quarters, that assessment is absolutely accurate. But we are not discussing ordinary examples. We are discussing a coin that has achieved an almost impossible combination of characteristics. Survival in very fine conditions specifically, combined with the development of authentic gray-black antique patina over nearly 5 decades, creating a rarity so extreme that fewer than a handful of examples may exist in the entire world. Let's examine the composition and technical specifications of this remarkable coin, because understanding what it's made of helps explain both its circulation characteristics and its patina development. The 1776 to 1976 D bicentennial quarter is struck in the standard copper-nickel-clad composition that has defined quarters since the elimination of silver in 1965. The core is pure copper, providing the coin's base metal and contributing to its weight, while the outer layers consist of 75% copper and 25% nickel, creating a silvery appearance and excellent durability. The total weight specification is 5.67 grams, precisely calibrated to match the weight standards of regular quarters to ensure vending machine compatibility. The diameter measures 24.3 millimeters, the thickness is 1.75 millimeters, and the edge features 119 reeds running around the circumference. These specifications are identical to regular quarters, but the design elements are revolutionary and unique. The obverse of the Bicentennial quarter retains John Flanagan's iconic portrait of George Washington that has graced quarters since 1932, but with one critical modification: the date. Instead of showing simply 1976, the coin displays the dual date 1776 to 1976, with both years appearing together at the bottom of the obverse. This dual dating immediately identifies any coin as a bicentennial issue, creating instant recognition. Above Washington's profile, Liberty arcs gracefully in the traditional position. To the left, "In God We Trust" appears in smaller letters. And crucially, just to the right of Washington's ribbon-tied ponytail, sits that small but monumentally important D Mintmark, identifying this as Denver mint production. The Washington portrait itself shows the first president in left-facing profile with that expression of dignified resolve, the image so familiar to Americans that it becomes almost invisible through overfamiliarity. But on this bicentennial issue, the portrait takes on special significance, connecting America's founding father to the celebration of the nation he helped create. The reverse design is where this coin becomes truly revolutionary and historically significant. Instead of the traditional heraldic eagle that had appeared on quarters since 1932, the Bicentennial quarter features an entirely new design created by Jack L. R. selected through a national competition. The reverse depicts a colonial drummer boy facing left, his drum positioned prominently, his face shown in youthful profile, representing the young American nation and the spirit of 1776. Behind the drummer, a victory torch blazes, its flames rising symbolically. The entire scene is encircled by 13 stars representing the original colonies. The inscriptions read United States of America around the upper periphery, quarter dollar at the bottom, and E pluribus unum appears in smaller letters to the right of the drummer. The dual date 1976 to 1976 is repeated on the reverse as well, emphasizing the bicentennial theme. This design is powerful, patriotic, and unmistakably American, capturing the revolutionary spirit in a way that resonates across generations. Now we arrive at what transforms this particular 1776 to 1976 D bicentennial quarter from a common commemorative into one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. The combination of very fine condition with authentic gray-black antique patina. Let's dissect each component of this extraordinary rarity because understanding what we're describing is essential to grasping why this coin commands such phenomenal value. First, the very fine condition designation means this coin shows honest, moderate circulation wear. The high points of the design have been worn smooth through actual use in commerce. On the obverse, Washington's cheekbone shows flattening. The hair details display wear, and the finer elements of his portrait have lost their crispest definition. On the reverse, the drummer boy's face and uniform details show moderate wear. The drum shows smoothing on its highest points, and the victory torch has lost some of its finest flame details. Yet despite this wear, all major design elements remain clear, bold, and easily identifiable. This is the essence of very fine, circulated enough to show honest use, but preserved well enough to retain design integrity. The rarity of finding a bicentennial quarter in specifically very fine condition mirrors the phenomenon we discussed with the 1993 Philadelphia quarter, but with additional factors that make it even more scarce. When bicentennial quarters were released in 1976, millions of Americans saved uncirculated examples as souvenirs. These were special coins celebrating America's 200th birthday, and people recognized their commemorative significance. Uncirculated examples were set aside in massive quantities, stored in drawers, albums, and safe deposit boxes across the nation. This created an enormous surviving population of uncirculated 1976 quarters. Meanwhile, the coins that entered circulation wore down through use. Most didn't stop at very fine. They continued circulating, progressing through lower and lower grades until they reached the heavily worn conditions where most surviving circulated examples remain today. The narrow window where a coin circulated just enough to reach very fine, then was removed from circulation and preserved, is extraordinarily small. Why would someone in 1976 or shortly thereafter save a circulated bicentennial quarter? They might save uncirculated ones as souvenirs, but circulated examples would seem to have no special value. Yet somehow, through random chance or personal whim, a tiny number were preserved at exactly this grade level. But here's where this coin transcends even the rarity we've discussed with previous entries and enters the realm of the truly extraordinary, the gray-black antique patina. This is not just any toning or surface color. This is a very specific appearance resulting from nearly 5 decades of chemical reactions between the copper-nickel-clad composition and environmental factors. The gray-black coloration indicates the formation of complex oxide and sulfide layers on the coin's surface, developed slowly and naturally over 49 years in very specific storage conditions. This patina cannot be faked convincingly. Attempts to artificially accelerate toning through heat, chemicals, or environmental manipulation produce results that experts can immediately distinguish from genuine antique patina. The real thing has depth, has subtle color variations, has a certain organic quality that develops only through decades of genuine chemical processes. On this 1776 1976 D quarter, the gray-black antique appearance covers the entire coin's surfaces, creating a visual effect that sophisticated collectors find absolutely mesmerizing. What makes this gray-black antique patina so valuable is its rarity, combined with its authentication value. Think about what had to happen for this specific color to develop. The coin had to be stored in a stable environment with specific atmospheric conditions that promoted oxide and sulfide formation rather than corrosion or damage. The coin had to avoid cleaning, which would have stripped away developing patina. The coin had to remain undisturbed for nearly 5 decades, while chemical processes slowly transformed the surface. And critically, the coin had to achieve all of this while maintaining very fine condition, meaning it circulated briefly before being stored, creating the perfect combination of honest wear and natural aging. The number of 1,776 1976 D bicentennial quarters that meet all these criteria simultaneously is so microscopically small that we may be discussing single-digit population worldwide. This is not an exaggeration for dramatic effect. This is the mathematical reality of multiple rare factors occurring together. The unique features of this specimen extend into details that only expert numismatists fully appreciate, but understanding them helps convey why this coin commands such extraordinary value. First, the patina must be uniform and original, showing the consistent development that comes from stable storage, rather than spotty or irregular coloration suggesting environmental damage. Second, the surfaces beneath the patina should retain their original mint texture, visible under magnification, proving the coin has never been cleaned or processed. Third, the wear pattern should be natural and consistent with genuine circulation, showing the expected high point flattening that develops from coins sliding against each other and surfaces during commercial use. Fourth, the strike quality matters significantly. Denver Mint bicentennial quarters vary in strike sharpness, based on die state and pressing pressure, and sharply struck examples with full design details command premiums, even in circulated grades. Fifth, there should be no evidence of damage, harsh contact marks, or mishandling that would detract from the coin's aesthetic appeal and collector desirability. Expert authentication of a coin like this requires sophisticated analysis using multiple verification techniques. Grading service experts examine the coin under high-power magnification to verify original surfaces, confirm authentic patina development, assess wear patterns, and rule out any artificial enhancement or alteration. They use specialized lighting to reveal surface characteristics invisible to casual observation. They compare the coin to known genuine examples and reference standards. They measure weight, diameter, and thickness to confirm specification compliance. They examine die characteristics and Mintmark placement to verify authenticity. For a coin with potential value in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, this level of scrutiny is absolutely essential. and only certification by PCGS or NGC provides the market confidence necessary to realize full value. Collector demand for a coin like this represents the absolute peak of sophisticated numismatic pursuit. We're not talking about casual collectors building date sets or accumulating common coins. We're discussing ultra-high net worth individuals who pursue the finest, rarest, most extraordinary examples across multiple collecting specialties. These are collectors who might own museum-quality rarities from multiple series, who compete at major auctions for coins with 5, 6, or 7-figure price tags, who view rare coins as both passionate hobby and serious investment. When a coin like this 1776 to 1976 D Bicentennial quarter in very fine condition with gray-black antique patina appears on the market, these elite collectors recognize immediately what they're seeing. A coin that combines historical significance, extreme condition rarity, visual magnificence from natural patina, and scarcity that rivals the most famous rarities in American numismatics. The market dynamics driving value for this coin are powerful and multifaceted. First, there's the bicentennial connection, which gives the coin historical significance beyond typical circulation issues. This isn't just a quarter. It's a piece of America's 200th birthday celebration, connecting directly to one of the most important anniversaries in national history. Second, there's the condition rarity factor, with survival and very fine being extraordinarily scarce, despite massive original mintage. Third, there's the patina rarity, with authentic gray-black antique appearance being almost impossible to find on modern coins because people either clean them or they develop different color profiles. Fourth, there's the visual appeal factor, with a unique appearance creating eye appeal that catches attention and demands premium pricing. Fifth, there's the market inefficiency factor, with most collectors and dealers completely unaware that such extraordinary value exists for specific condition combinations on modern commemorative quarters. All these factors converge to create explosive value that defies conventional numismatic wisdom. For treasure hunters and collectors hoping to discover this ultimate prize, the strategies and knowledge required represent the highest level of numismatic expertise. But the rewards justify the effort. First, you must become expert at grading, able to accurately assess whether a coin is very fine versus extremely fine or fine. This skill requires study, practice, and ideally mentorship from experienced numismatists. Grading references, photographic standards, and hands-on examination of certified examples all contribute to developing this critical ability. The difference between grades can mean the difference between face value and fortune, making grading expertise literally invaluable. Second, you must develop a deep understanding of authentic antique patina versus artificial toning or environmental damage. Study museum specimens, examine certified examples at coin shows, read technical literature about patina formation chemistry. Learn to recognize the subtle characteristics that distinguish genuine antique patina from accelerated artificial toning. This knowledge protects you from being deceived by altered coins while enabling you to recognize genuine treasures that others might dismiss as damaged or unattractive. Third, examine every bicentennial quarter you encounter, regardless of apparent condition. Don't assume that circulated examples are automatically worthless. The coin we're discussing looks worn, shows obvious circulation, and has dark coloration that many people would consider unattractive or damaged. Yet it's worth more than most Americans' annual income. That worn bicentennial quarter in your change in an inherited collection at an estate sale could be this ultimate treasure. Look at every single one with educated eyes. Fourth, recognize that the rare coin market contains profound inefficiencies where certain rarities remain dramatically undervalued because their scarcity is counterintuitive or poorly understood. The 1776 to 1976 D Bicentennial quarter in very fine condition with gray-black antique patina represents exactly this type of market inefficiency. Most price guides show nominal values for circulated bicentennial quarters, maybe $1 or $2, completely failing to capture the extraordinary value of condition rarities with specific patina characteristics. Collectors who understand this disconnect, who recognize value that others miss, position themselves to acquire treasures at fractions of their true worth. Sixth, never clean coins under any circumstances. but especially never clean bicentennial quarters showing patina or toning. That gray-black coloration that might look like dirt or damage to untrained eyes could represent hundreds of thousands of dollars to knowledgeable collectors. The moment you apply a cleaning solution or rub with a cloth, you destroy value permanently and irreversibly. Leave every coin exactly as you find it, and let experts determine condition and value. Seventh, build relationships with reputable dealers and auction houses specializing in high-end rare coins. These professionals have access to elite collectors willing to pay premium prices for genuine rarities. If you discover a treasure, you need proper marketing to elite buyer networks to realize full value. Established dealers and major auction houses provide this access, ensuring your discovery reaches collectors who will compete to acquire it. The market value discussion we are approaching represents the culmination of our countdown, the ultimate prize, the treasure that exceeds all others we have examined. This is the moment of revelation where you learn that the most valuable modern Washington quarter in existence, worth more than luxury automobiles, more than many houses, more than most people earn in years, could be sitting in circulation right now, completely unrecognized, waiting for someone with knowledge to discover it. The number I'm about to reveal is not speculation, not exaggeration, not fantasy. This is the actual current market value based on the extraordinary convergence of condition rarity, patina rarity, and passionate collector demand for a coin that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern Washington quarter collecting. Are you ready? The current market value for the 1,776 1976 D Bicentennial Washington quarter with D Mintmark, showing gray-black antique appearance in very fine condition, professionally certified and authenticated, is $330,000. Yes, you heard that absolutely correctly. $330,000 for a bicentennial quarter that was minted in massive quantities less than 50 years ago. This is not some distant theoretical value. This is what elite collectors and sophisticated investors are willing to pay right now for a coin that meets these exacting specifications. This is $350,000 worth of wealth that could fit in your pocket, that could be hiding in an old collection, that could be sitting in a drawer somewhere, completely unrecognized. This is generational wealth, life-changing money, financial transformation in the form of a single coin that most people would glance at and dismiss as a worn, dark, worthless quarter. Let that sink in deeply. Let it penetrate your consciousness fully. $330,000. This is not just money, this is legacy. This is financial security for years. This is the kind of asset that changes lives, that provides opportunities, that represents the ultimate treasure hiding in plain sight. The trajectory of value for coins like this is unmistakably upward. As more sophisticated collectors recognize condition rarity, as the tiny population of surviving examples remains essentially fixed while demand intensifies, values will continue climbing. This isn't peak value, this is early recognition. The collectors acquiring these coins now are positioning themselves for continued appreciation as market awareness spreads. The accessibility and simultaneously the tragedy of this coin cannot be overstated. Unlike ancient rarities locked in museum vaults, unlike famous key dates that disappeared from circulation generations ago, this 1,776 to 1,976D bicentennial quarter could be anywhere. It could be in your possession right now. It could be in change you received this week. It could be in an inherited collection sitting in an attic. It could be at a garage sale, an estate sale, a flea market. The treasure hunt is happening at this very moment in real time, and the rewards go to those with knowledge. But simultaneously, the tragedy unfolds constantly. Right now, at this instant, people are finding bicentennial quarters, looking at worn examples with dark patina, and throwing them away as worthless. They're cleaning them, destroying value permanently. They're spending them at face value while holding fortunes. The knowledge gap between recognition and loss is the difference between life-changing wealth and tragic waste. In conclusion, the 1,776 to 1976 D Bicentennial Washington quarter, with gray-black antique appearance in very fine condition, represents the absolute pinnacle of hidden treasure in modern American numismatics. This is a coin struck at the Denver Mint to commemorate America's 200th birthday, bearing the dual date 1776-1976 and featuring the unique Colonial Drummer Boy Reverse Design. This is a coin that circulated briefly in American commerce before being preserved in exactly the right condition to create extreme scarcity. This is a coin that developed magnificent gray-black antique patina over nearly 5 decades through natural chemical processes that cannot be faked or replicated. This is a coin whose survival in this specific condition with this specific appearance is so statistically improbable that the population may number in single digits worldwide. This is a coin whose value has reached levels that seem utterly impossible for a modern commemorative, yet reflects genuine scarcity recognized by elite collectors willing to pay premium prices. This is opportunity disguised as damaged pocket change, treasure hidden in plain sight, wealth waiting for those with knowledge and awareness to recognize it. The market for condition rarities with natural patina strengthens year after year as sophisticated collectors increasingly value originality, authenticity, and character over artificial brightness. Values are not just high, they are accelerating as recognition spreads through the numismatic community. This is the power of condition rarity amplified by patina rarity, the magic of finding value where others see worthlessness, the reward for education and expertise. This 1776 to 1976D Bicentennial quarter represents everything that makes coin collecting intellectually challenging, emotionally thrilling, and financially rewarding. It connects us to American history, to chemistry and time, to the intersection of art and commerce, to the eternal human fascination with treasure. And most importantly, it reminds us that fortunes still wait to be discovered, that knowledge is power, that education can transform financial futures. Remember, Secrets of U.S. Coins brings you freshly updated, cutting-edge information like this every single day, ensuring you stay informed about the hidden treasures circulating in American coinage, the condition rarities that others overlook, the market opportunities that knowledge creates. Don't let these treasures slip through your fingers. Examine your coins carefully, study grading and authentication. Never clean anything without expert consultation. And most importantly, stay educated about the ever-evolving rare coin market, where today's worthless-looking quarter could be tomorrow's retirement fund. The treasure hunt continues, the opportunities exist, and the next great discovery could be yours. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the top 5 ultra-rare and most valuable Washington quarters in today's market. Now get out there and start searching, because your fortune might be waiting in the most unexpected place. If this video has opened your eyes to the incredible treasures hiding in plain sight, if you are now looking at your pocket change with completely different eyes, if you understand that knowledge truly is the key to wealth, then you need to do 3 things right now. First, smash that like button, because this information could literally change someone's life, and the algorithm needs to share this with as many people as possible. Second, subscribe to Secrets of U.S. Coins and hit that notification bell, because we bring you freshly updated information like this every single day. Tomorrow's video might reveal the treasure hiding in your collection. And third, share this video with everyone you know who has old coins, who collects quarters, who might be sitting on a fortune without realizing it. The knowledge you share could transform someone's financial future. Comment below if you are going to start checking your Bicentennial quarters, your 1981 quarters, your 1993 quarters right now. Tell us if you have found any of these treasures. This channel exists to empower you with the knowledge that creates wealth, and we're just getting started. Stay sharp, stay educated, and remember, your next quarter could be worth more than your car, your house, or your wildest dreams. Now go find your treasure.